Stop right there. Before you touch that dial or scroll past this video, I need you to look down at whatever top you're wearing right now. Yes, right now. Because there's a good chance the neckline you have on today is quietly adding 10 years to your face, and nobody in your life is brave enough to tell you. Here's the part that shocked me when I first learned it. It has nothing to do with your face, your wrinkles, or how much makeup you're wearing. A stylist once told me that the eye reads age from the collarbone up before it even reaches your eyes. So if your neckline is working against you, people register older in less than 2 seconds, before they even notice your smile, your eyes, or the effort you put into getting ready. Think about that for a second. All those years spent perfecting skincare routines, choosing the right foundation, finding the perfect lipstick shade. And this whole time, the real first impression was being decided by a piece of fabric sitting an inch below your chin. But flip that around and something wild happens. The right neckline can shave years off how old you appear, soften your jawline, lift your whole face, and do it without a single dollar spent on skincare or a trip to the dermatologist. It costs nothing extra. You are not buying a new wardrobe. You are simply learning to see the clothes you already own with new eyes. Today I'm handing you 7 necklines that do exactly that, plus 3 that are working against you every single time you put them on. Stick around because number 5 is the one almost every woman over 60 owns and wears proudly, without knowing it's aging her by association. And that last avoid on my list might be sitting in your closet right now, ironed and ready for Sunday. By the end of this video, you will never look at a hanger the same way again. Hello my gorgeous friend. Welcome back to Timeless Style After 60. If this is your first time here, pull up a chair, get comfortable because this channel is your judgment-free zone. We are not here to chase trends made for 25-year-olds who have never once thought about which fabric flatters a softer neckline. We're here to help you look polished, put together, and undeniably you, at every single age, without spending a fortune doing it. This channel exists because I got tired of fashion advice that ignored women over 60 completely, as if style stopped mattering the moment your hair started to gray. Doesn't. If anything, this is the decade where knowing these small tricks matters more, because you already know who you are. Now we're just making sure your clothes say the same thing. And to my regulars, my loyal ladies who show up every single week, thank you. You are the reason this channel keeps growing, and I see every single one of you in the comments, cheering each other on, sharing what worked, and asking the questions that shape future videos. This is a community, not just a channel, and I am so glad you're here today. Before we dive in, do me one small favor. Tap that subscribe button and ring the bell if it's not already done, because I post new style secrets every week, and you don't want to miss the ones that could change how you get dressed forever. It takes 2 seconds, it costs nothing, and it genuinely helps this channel keep growing so we can keep making videos exactly like this one, made for women who are done being ignored by the fashion industry. Now let's get into it. Starting with the neckline that instantly makes your neck look longer, your jaw look sharper, and takes years off your appearance in one simple swap. Neckline 1. The Sweetheart Scoop. This is the one Hollywood stylists don't want you to know is basically freestyling advice. The Sweetheart neckline curves like the top of a heart, dipping gently between 2 soft curves rather than cutting straight across. It sounds like a small detail, almost too small to matter, but this is exactly the kind of small detail that changes everything about how a face is perceived. Why does this work so beautifully after 60? Because it draws the eye in a soft, rounded motion toward your face instead of straight down and across. Straight lines age a face. They create hard stops, sharp edges, and a sense of rigidity. Curves do the opposite. They soften everything they touch. This neckline literally frames your face the way a picture frame highlights a painting, pulling all the attention exactly where you want it, upward toward your eyes and your smile, and away from anything you'd rather not have people staring at for the first 3 seconds of a conversation. Here's a little secret about why this shape has lasted through decades of fashion trends coming and going. It was originally designed for evening gowns, meant to draw the eye toward the face in candlelight, in an era when a woman's expression was considered the true center of any outfit. That same principle works just as well under kitchen lighting on a random Tuesday. If you own a blouse, a cardigan, or even a simple knit top with this gentle curve, you already have this trick working in your favor without ever realizing it. Neckline 2. The V that isn't too deep. Now before you panic and think I'm telling you to show cleavage at 70, relax. I'm talking about a modest V, one that stops just below the collarbone and no lower. This is not about showing skin. This is about geometry, and geometry does not care how old you are, it works the same way for everybody. This shape does something almost magical. It elongates your neck instantly. A rounded or high neckline can sometimes make the neck look shorter and the chin look heavier, especially as skin naturally softens with age, because there's no visual break, just one continuous shape from chin to chest. A moderate V breaks that horizontal line and creates length exactly where you want it. Think of it as an optical illusion working in your favor every single time you put it on. Fashion stylists sometimes call this the exclamation point effect, because the V shape draws a subtle vertical line, like an arrow pointing upward toward your face, the same way an exclamation point draws your eye straight to the top of a sentence. It is quiet, it is simple, and it works whether you're wearing it under a blazer, layered with a scarf, or on its own on a warm afternoon. The best part, you probably already own a blouse with this cut hiding in your closet right now, tucked between things you reach for less often simply because you never knew why it made you feel so put together. Neckline 3. The wrap style. Wrap necklines cross over the body diagonally, and diagonal lines are secretly one of the most flattering shapes in fashion, across every single body type and every single age. They create movement where a straight line creates stillness. They create shape where a straight line creates flatness. And they draw focus toward the center of your body in a way that feels elegant, never clingy or overly done, because the eye follows the diagonal line naturally, almost like it's being gently guided rather than stopped. There's a reason ballroom dancers and figure skaters have worn wrap-style tops for generations. Diagonal lines create the illusion of motion, even when the body is completely still. That same illusion works in a grocery store just as well as it works on a dance floor. It creates a sense of energy and lightness that a straight cut simply cannot replicate. This is the neckline that makes women say, "I don't know what it is, but I feel put together in this," even on days when they've barely had their coffee and threw on the first thing within reach. That reaction is not an accident. It is the diagonal line doing exactly what it was designed to do, quietly working in the background while you get all the credit. Quick pause because I want to hear from you. If you've ever owned a wrap top or dress that made you feel unstoppable, drop a comment below and tell me what color it was and where you wore it. I read every single one, and it genuinely helps me know exactly what to cover in future videos, because this channel is shaped by what you tell me you need. While you're there, tap that like button. It sounds small, but it genuinely helps this video reach more women just like you who need to hear this today. Women who might be standing in front of their closet right now feeling frustrated without knowing why. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because we've still got 4 more necklines, 3 necklines to avoid. And I promise you the surprises are not over yet. Neckline 4. The boat neck. Here's an uncommon truth about the boat neck that almost nobody talks about. It works because it runs horizontally across the collarbone from shoulder to shoulder, and a wide horizontal line at the top of the body visually broadens the shoulders just slightly, which in turn makes everything below, including the face, appear smaller and more delicate by comparison. It's a styling trick borrowed straight from ballet dancers, who have worn this cut for decades because it makes the neck look impossibly long and graceful, elongating the entire upper body in a single visual move. Audrey Hepburn made this neckline iconic for exactly this reason, and stylists have quietly used it ever since because it simply never stops working. What makes this shape especially good for women over 60 is how it interacts with the shoulders and the collarbone at the same time. It doesn't cling to the throat, it doesn't dig into soft tissue anywhere, and it doesn't create pressure points that leave marks by the end of the day. It simply rests elegantly exactly where it should. Pair it with a simple necklace that sits just below the collarbone, and you've layered 2 flattering shapes into one effortless look. Neckline 5. The cowl drape. This is the one I warned you about earlier. The one almost every woman over 60 owns without realizing what it's actually doing for her. A cowl neckline has soft, draped folds of fabric gathered gently at the front, almost like the fabric itself is relaxed and unbothered, which strangely enough is exactly the energy it gives off when you wear it. Those folds catch light and shadow in a way that's incredibly forgiving. It doesn't cling. It doesn't pull tight against any part of the neck or chest. Instead, it flows, and flowing fabric near the face reads as soft, youthful, and effortless, even though you've probably worn it 100 times just because it was comfortable, never once connecting the dots on why it always felt like your best option for a last-minute outing. Here's the part that surprises people most. Photographers and stylists specifically choose draped fabric for portraits because soft folds create gentle shadows that smooth the appearance of the skin underneath them, almost like a built-in soft lighting filter woven directly into the garment. You don't need a ring light or a filter app. You just need the cowl neck sweater that's already hanging in your closet, probably one you reach for on your most confident days without ever knowing exactly why. Neckline 6. The square neck. This one surprises people every time. A square neckline has clean, sharp corners, and you'd think sharp equals harsh equals aging, equals exactly the opposite of everything we've talked about so far. But on the body, it does the opposite of what you'd expect. It creates a strong, confident frame around the collarbone that reads as polished and intentional, almost like a piece of jewelry built right into the garment itself. The straight edges sit at the collarbone rather than the throat, which means the sharpness works structurally, giving the outfit shape, while the softness of your actual skin and face remains completely untouched and undisturbed by any harsh lines. It's a favorite of women who want to look effortlessly elegant without looking like they tried too hard, because the shape alone is doing all the work. You could throw this on with jeans and sneakers for a coffee run, or dress it up with a blazer for something more formal, and either way, the neckline quietly signals that you know exactly what you're doing, even on days when you absolutely do not have a plan. Neckline 7. The mock turtleneck. Last but honestly one of the most underrated necklines on this entire list. A mock turtleneck sits high but not tight, and it creates a clean vertical column from chin to chest. Vertical lines are one of the oldest tricks in fashion for making anything look longer and leaner, including the neck and the face, and this shape uses that principle better than almost any other. The key word here is not tight. A mock turtleneck is not the same as a tight, constricting turtleneck from decades past. It has a small amount of ease built in, enough to skim rather than squeeze, which changes the entire effect from confining to elongating. Pair it with statement earrings and you've got a look that feels modern, intentional, and quietly powerful. The kind of outfit that gets noticed without anyone quite being able to say why. Layer it under a blazer in cooler months, or wear it alone with simple trousers, and either way, that clean vertical line is doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes. Now the 3 to avoid. We've covered the shapes that work in your favor. Now let's talk about the 3 that are quietly working against you, the ones almost nobody warns you about because they don't look wrong at first glance. They simply don't do you any favors, and once you see why, you will notice it everywhere. Avoid number 1. The high tight crewneck. I know, this one might be sitting in your closet ironed and ready for Sunday just like I warned you earlier. A crewneck that sits high and tight against the throat does something unflattering as skin naturally softens with age. It can create the appearance of the neck disappearing entirely into the shoulders, because there's no line, no shape, and nothing at all for the eye to follow or rest on. It's not that this top is bad, or that you should throw it away in shame. It's simply working against you instead of for you, sitting exactly where a little bit of openness would have done so much more. A tight crewneck was designed decades ago for a completely different body and a completely different purpose, and it simply hasn't aged well with the rest of us. If you love the fabric or the print, look for the same style with even a slightly lower, looser neckline instead. Avoid number 2. The straight horizontal choker length finish. This is different from a boat neck, so pay attention here because the difference matters. This one sits tight right at the base of the throat with no drape, no give, and no breathing room whatsoever. It tends to shorten the appearance of the neck, and can unintentionally draw attention to areas most women prefer to soften rather than highlight, simply because the fabric has nowhere else to go but straight across the most visible point of the throat. A small shift, just an inch lower or slightly looser, changes the entire effect from constricting to elegant. It's a tiny adjustment with an outsized result, and it's exactly the kind of detail most people never think to check when they're buying a top off the rack in a hurry. Avoid number 3. The overly ruffled high neck. Ruffles are fun, genuinely fun, and I am not telling you to avoid them altogether. But stacked high and tight near the throat, they can overwhelm the face rather than complement it, competing for attention in exactly the spot where your eyes and your smile should be doing all the talking. Too much fabric activity that close to the chin fights against everything we just built with those 7 flattering shapes. A little ruffle, placed lower on the chest instead of piled up near the throat, works wonders and adds exactly the right amount of softness and personality. Piled high near the neck, though, it becomes visual noise, distracting rather than flattering, no matter how pretty the fabric itself might be. So here's your real takeaway today. Aging gracefully was never about hiding, and it was certainly never about spending money you don't need to spend. It was always about choosing shapes that work with your body instead of against it, using knowledge instead of a bigger budget. The 7 necklines we covered aren't expensive, they aren't hard to find, and honestly, you probably already own 2 or 3 of them without realizing how powerful they've been this whole time. The 3 to avoid aren't villains either. They're simply shapes that need a small adjustment before they start working for you instead of against you. If this video opened your eyes even a little, do me a favor and subscribe because next week I'm covering the exact colors that do this same age-defying trick, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Drop a comment and let me know which neckline surprised you the most today. I read every single one, and your answers genuinely shape what I make next. And if you know a friend who needs to hear this today, someone who's been quietly frustrated in front of her closet without knowing why, send her this video. She'll thank you for it. I'll see you in the next one.